So what we're seeing right now is a problem happening in the PT profession, and that is that the governing bodies, whether you are in the US, in Canada, whether you're in Britain, whether you're in Australia, the governing bodies that run our professions are trying so hard, so desperately hard to justify what we do in our existence that they are forgetting, borderline neglecting, to actually focus in on the number one thing that we should be doing and realizing is that people don't actually know what we do, okay? So while we're obsessed with the research, while we're obsessed with the white papers, all the time trying to justify ourselves to ourselves and potentially to other healthcare providers, and I get it, so that we ensure our survival as a profession. The problem with that is we are neglecting the people that we serve with that. Because as we go more advanced and we get more research-based and we publish more white papers and we justify more about what we do, we're spending less and less time actually helping people understand what we do so that they can actually access and happy to pay for and give up their time for what we do. Does that make sense? Why is it happening? Well, I firmly believe one of the reasons is we have a little bit of an inferiority complex when it comes to who we are in the world, in the healthcare environment, in the scale of how important we are as a healthcare practitioner. I don't think that many PTs and the PT profession in general are 100% confident in who we are and what we do. Now, we know that we're amazing. We know that what we can do can impact a lot of people's lives, but we're having a hard time trying to fit in somewhere. People don't really know in society what we do. They don't know where we are. We're not quite a doctor, we're not quite a nurse. People are aware of what those two amazing healthcare practitioners do. And one of the things that I always say to people is, and to help people understand why I think we have that little bit of an inferiority complex and a not necessarily as high a standard in society as we should have, because of how impactful and how influential we are. It's simply this. When I was a kid, did I ever play doctors, nurses and physical therapists? Of course not. I played doctors and nurses. So not many kids grew up really understanding what a physical therapist actually does, which is why we run off to the doctor if we have a problem, or which is why we consult a nurse if we have a bloods problem, or we need some antibiotics, or we need something that is going to help us to obviously improve our health. We didn't play doctors, nurses and physical therapists. And kids today, so my Harry is not likely to play doctors, nurses and physical therapists with his friends. He might dress up as a doctor and his cousin might dress up as a nurse. So we're not really there. We're not really at that point of, and I don't know if we ever have been as a profession, where the society as a whole knows what we do and can justify the time and the money it takes to access our service. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying is I get why the profession is running and working hard, trying to justify bringing out more research, bringing out more white paper. But all the time I believe that as the governing bodies push you towards doing that, we are as a profession neglecting to face up to the single biggest thing that will keep this profession alive anyway, which is helping a consumer to understand what we actually do. So instead of spending however many years at PT school and publishing white papers and putting all our research documents together and attending every single class on how this physiology in the body works, maybe what we should be doing is attending at least 1 in 3 classes on how people actually make decisions, on teaching us, the PT, how to help these people. Like everywhere I look today, if I pulled any of these people here today in Santa Monica, if I pulled 100 people aside and said, hey, can you tell me what a PT does? I know without any hesitation, as true as the sun is shining today, that they wouldn't be able to do it. Not confidently. And I also know that I'd get 100 different variations, and that's the problem. That there and then is the problem that the profession as a whole and our governing bodies need to face up to and need to help us to actually put right. So instead of telling us it's all about the research and telling us to go off and spend more weekends on courses to get even more skilled at a tactic or a skill set that we may never get a chance to use, particularly if we're in private practice and we're trying to acquire our own patients, unless we actually are taught, and people like myself are now trying to help people to see this, that this is the real problem. This is the real problem that we face as we try to advance this profession. No sod knows what we do. So my message again is always, it's the same all the time. If you want to be successful, whether you are a student right now, whether you are a fledgling private practice owner, whether you are an established private practice owner trying to go a new direction, if you want to help and impact people, and I'm sure that you do, if you want to maximize the value that you deserve for the $150,000 you've probably most likely spent to actually go to PT school, then it's clear what you have to do. The only option, the only thing that you really need to be studying and obsessing over is the people that you serve. And if you do that, you'll figure out that they're not very good at making decisions. They're not very good at understanding what value is. They don't really know what they want from a healthcare provider. Certainly not enough to give up their time, certainly not enough to give up their money. And if we, even if a small number of us get together and do that, forget about the rest of the profession. They're going to go off and do what they want, and the hospital systems will, continue to do what they think they need to do, and the big national PT chains will do what they think they need to do. This is about what we need to do as small business owners, trying to impact and serve more people in our community, and ultimately it's helping people make decisions. We don't need another white paper, we don't need more research, we don't need more skills and more facts and more shit getting piddled around. What we need is to help people at source, help them at the point where they are struggling to make a decision on that back pain or that knee pain, and the guy or the girl who does that is going to win. Not just a little bit, exponentially going to win, because like I said, all these people today, all of these people walking past me in Santa Monica, however many hundreds of them are walking past, suffering with something like back pain, something like knee pain, something like neck pain, a problem that I can solve. And yet they will never give me their time and they will never give me their money until I help them make that decision. And until I help them make that decision, guess what is completely irrelevant? The white paper, the research, the documents, the facts, the certificates, the skill sets, irrelevant, okay? So the number one thing that we have to do, if you want to be a successful business owner and you want to grow and scale a practice at any level, you have to understand and this is the problem. Nobody wanted to be, no kids today are waking up anywhere in the US or in Britain playing doctors, nurses and PTs. They are playing doctors and nurses, and that is the problem that we face. They are growing up not knowing how important we are and not knowing what we actually do to help them.